Hey, and welcome back to our show. All right. Hey guys, and welcome back. This is episode number 2 of our series about competing. And in our first episode, we covered a little bit about
is competing right for you?
Yeah, is it right for you? And so now if you're here on episode number 2, I'm assuming it is. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to pick a show.
So a lot of times a coach will pick your shows for you. But if you're in the position where you don't have a coach yet, I think it's a really good idea to self-assess, be realistic with yourself and your time frame and where you're standing now. Also taking into consideration, are you competing for yourself or are you competing to win? If you're competing to win and you want to look top-notch on stage, it's good to self-assess.
Yes.
Pick a realistic time and then go to a coach and make sure that they have your best interests, because you have to remember there's a lot of kooky coaches out there and they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money off of you competing, paying for the coaching, and when you step on stage they make money too.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they're not going to throw you out there when you're not ready.
And that's something we're going to cover in our next episode, how to pick a coach. But that's a completely different topic. We're not going to dig into that. But to start with how to pick a show, I mean...
Muscular development is our first topic. So do you have the necessary muscular development that you need? You have to remember that you can't gain muscle while you're in a prep. I think that's a big misconception.
Mm-hmm. You have to think, a lot of really high-level competitors were athletes growing up. So we have this specific base, this foundation that people who maybe weren't as athletic growing up don't have. You know, I'd have that muscular development already, so like I have something to work off of. Like I've been lifting now since 2015 pretty regularly, and even before that I did CrossFit. I was an athlete. Like I never really stopped. So for me, from 2016 till now, about 3.5 years later, I see huge difference, huge difference in my body.
Yeah.
Now, like if I tried to compete, which I did, in my second year of lifting at a national show, I got my ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a big slap in the face when you're not ready.
It is.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could be really lean, you could be mean, you could be there in every aspect.
But if you don't have the development, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like you shouldn't, unless you're short, you shouldn't weigh 90 pounds on stage.
A lot of people think that bikini is like a shredded contest, who can get the leanest or who has the biggest butt contest.
Yeah.
And bikini is neither of those things. Like
No.
They value shape and proportions and balance and symmetry over conditioning and over glute development.
Exactly.
And so like the biggest muscle groups in my opinion are going to be delts, and not just side raises, like front, lateral, rear delts. You really need lats to create that V taper. You need hamstrings and glutes for the backside.
Yes.
But you have to also remember that like to have that proportion, the balance and the symmetry, you need all of your muscles developed to some extent. You need to work your upper chest, your abs, your quads, your arms, everything.
Yeah, which you have to have a very solid plan.
Yeah.
You know, if you're coaching yourself, which is totally fine at the beginning, you just might be treading water.
You need to know basic anatomy. Like when I trained myself, like a little bit of background about me, I started lifting every single day senior year of high school. So this is about 7 years ago, but I had absolutely no knowledge. I didn't go on YouTube and watch videos. I didn't, like Instagram wasn't around yet. So it was really just me going in the gym and doing bro workouts, just biceps and triceps. Like I didn't know that you were even supposed to lift your shoulders.
I remember those days.
It was like I was slacking on legs, man. I was just being a bro, like just arms and chest, like bench press. Like sometimes you're not able to make that self-assessment. So coaching comes into play. The muscular development comes into play. Mm-hmm. And you know, before my very first show, I did very well my first show. So did Allie. I had been lifting consistently for about 3 years. So a lot of people think, okay, I can lift for 6 months and then go into a prep, or sometimes even a year. And that may be the case if you have a foundation from playing sports and your nutrition is on point. and maybe you have some of that development,
but
you're
you
just
can't
building
expect
to go from zero to being top notch in a year. Metabolism.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
That's a hairy one. Okay, so I mean, there's just so much to cover with metabolism. This is something that has been developing and being altered through your whole entire life.
Yeah.
You always hear people who aren't happy with their body, oh, it's because my metabolism slowed down. It's really not the case. You, over time, pounded it into the ground, ruining it, creating maybe a weaker metabolism. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what you do in prep if you're not careful. So when it comes to starting a prep, you want to make sure your metabolism is top notch, it's healthy, and I mean, gosh, I don't even know.
Yeah, you have to take into consideration metabolic adaptation. So essentially, the easiest way to explain this is whatever calories you're intaking, your metabolism will adapt to that to survive. So you will plateau. Plateauing is to be expected.
Yep.
It's normal, it's natural, and it will happen. And when it happens, you have to decrease calories again. So let's say your basal metabolic rate is 2,000 calories, which is a really good starting point, by the way, for a female our size. So you might go into, let's say you're not doing any cardio, just to make this simpler, you might go to 1,500 calories. That's going to lose. It's going to have you losing about a pound a week. Mm-hmm. Let's say your metabolism adapts in 3 months. Your new basal metabolic rate is 1,500. You're not losing weight anymore. What do you have to do? Drop it to 1,000.
Yep.
And of course, you're going to increase cardio. So if you start out at 2,000 calories, you most likely won't end up at 1,000 calories. But that's just kind of an example so you understand. If you start out at 1,500, you might end up at 1,000. So
most likely will end up at 1,000 if you're starting at 1,500.
I would just for shits and gigs, I would say to expect a 500 calorie drop in your metabolism in a 3 to 4 month prep.
Yep.
Just to be safe.
It's kind of the reason why I need to take a longer off season.
Both of us.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty much right at 1,500 calories right now. If we were to jump into anything too soon, we're just gonna be running into the ground. You're gonna kind of get that just not
a healthy spot.
Look.
Yeah. It is kind of scary when your calories get that low. So if you're considering, you've already considered competing. Now you're looking at shows. If you have the muscle mass you need, if you're in a good place metabolically, another thing to consider is your body fat percentage.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of weight to lose, you might want to push back the timing.
Now, if this is your first prep ever and you're in a really healthy place with your food and you have a lot of muscle, let's say, you could do a really slow prep into it and know that you're going to be okay and you won't have to drop too low. Now, something that happened to me, this is my own personal experience. I had a really bad reverse. Coming out of 2017, I put on 35 pounds of fat, and it took me 7 months. 7 months
to get 35
dieting to get 35 pounds off. And I was one of the girls that had to do lots of things she didn't want to do to get that last couple pounds off, because I didn't have the good starting point. And sometimes you don't realize where you're at until you start, and then you're like, well, I'm already in it, might as well keep chugging along.
And that's why we wanted to put this video out too, is so you don't make the same mistakes that we made.
No, because it's not fun.
No, it's not fun.
It's miserable.
Yeah, and another thing with the body fat is a lot of people will say oh, well, I can lose 3 pounds a week. Absolutely, you can lose 3 pounds a week. It's possible. But you have to remember that you're going to be losing your muscle mass in the process.
Yeah, how much of it is your lean body mass,
my goal, my ideal goal is to lose 1 pound a week. I think 1 pound is kind of that sweet spot where you're, it's high enough where you're maintaining muscle, but it's low enough to where you're dropping at a decent rate. So
exactly.
My last prep, I had 20 pounds to drop. I did a 20-week prep.
Let's say you do want to lose weight. Take your body weight and then multiply it by 1 to possibly 2% of your body weight. That's how many pounds a week you can lose without really compromising your lean body mass.
That's a good, I actually haven't heard that one before. One thing that I like to do, if I have a client that comes to me and they've never seen themselves super lean. We have no idea what their stage weight would be. There's this really cool calculator. We'll put it down below in the comments. I think it's like exr.net. But essentially, you go get a body scan, like a DEXA scan, an InBody, Sika. You just get like, even if it's a cheap scan, you get a general idea of how much muscle mass you have and how much body fat percentage you have. And you go to the calculator on the website and you put in, 150 pounds, 20% body fat, this amount, 100 pounds of lean body mass, whatever. And then you put in your ideal percent body fat. And for bikini, 8 to 12 is pretty ideal. Yeah. So you could put in 3 different numbers. You can put in 8, 10, or 12. And you hit calculate, and it will tell you your stage weight is 110 pounds at the lowest, 115 pounds, and 120 pounds if you're at 12%.
Yeah, that's a really good idea to kind of get thinking on where you need to go and how long
it's a good place. It's like a good site to get a general idea. It's not always spot on. For me personally, it's been on like spot on for every show, but I know that's not the case for everyone. But it's good to get a general idea of how much weight you actually have to lose. Yeah. Another thing you have to consider is how much do you value like the holidays. Like, I've had a couple clients ask me, what happens with Thanksgiving and Christmas, and ideally you'll be ahead of schedule, and I'll be like, okay, well, you can have 500 extra calories today. This can be your cheat day, but it's not going to be the same 5,000 calorie feast that you're used to. And 5,000 calories sounds like a ridiculous amount, but honestly, that's pretty normal for Thanksgiving, Christmas food.
Oh yeah, I mean, just the other day for my birthday, I tracked all my food for, when I was at Universal and went out to eat and had drinks and cocktails, and, those numbers, you kind of like act like it doesn't compound through each meal, and
it builds up.
Getting to 5,000 is easy when you're eating
so easy.
Food.
And drinking.
Drinking.
Alcohol. Oh my gosh. We didn't even talk about that, but you're not going to be able to drink very much during prep, if at all.
Yep.
So you really just have to consider what you value. If you think that prep is going to be your priority and you don't really care if you have to eat your prep food during the holidays, then maybe it's fine. But if you feel like maybe you're going to slack discipline, or you just don't want to miss out on certain events, then maybe find a better time to prep.
Push it back. I mean, the stage will always be there. I know people always say that, but it's true.
It's so true. And like, I think the last thing on our list was really just prioritizing your health. Like, when in doubt, listen to your gut.
Yeah.
If there's going to be people pushing you like, oh, you can do it. You don't have that much body fat, or maybe a coach is pushing you like, come on, you can do it. But if your gut instinct is saying you're not ready because of any of these reasons.
Yeah, it could be any reason. I mean, maybe, so deep down, what are you thinking? Let's say I know I'm supposed to compete in May. So first on my mind, I'm thinking, how's my metabolism? Well, Allie, I just got up to 1,500 to 1,600 calories and I'm still tired some days. Yeah. Beep. Okay. So that's out. Now, what's next? I have to assess my cardio. Where am I right now with that? Well, I'm still doing 45 minutes a day.
Yeah, same.
I'm not going to start my cardio with that.
Starting a prep with 45 minutes of cardio for just like maintaining.
It's
that's
stupid.
Scary.
It's literally stupid. And after that, you have to think, okay, the holidays are coming up. I'm not trying to be good and prep through my first holidays
after
in
Florida. You just prepped for so long too.
Yeah, I just got off of prep. Like, I want to have fun. This is the end of summer for me. I've been enjoying it. Like,
I feel like the same. And then I feel like you have probably a little bit more muscle than me, but like I feel like my shoulders have just dissipated, and I feel like my upper body, like I've definitely grown my hamstrings and glutes over this last year, but because of some injuries and a couple surgeries, I feel like my upper body is the same place as it was 2.5 years ago. And that's why I want to compete. I'm excited to compete. Like, if I could go into prep right now, I would, and it's a possibility. But taking into consideration my metabolism, which isn't that strong after USA's in Tampa, and then cardio, I'm still doing 45 minutes. And now I feel like I don't have the muscular development. So although I want to compete, my gut instinct is saying play it safe, take off another year, and then look into competing when you're ready. Don't try to like plan ahead, and if you're not ready, then bite the bullet and do it anyways. Like, I say when in doubt, play it safe.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of went through a situation like that earlier this year. I was supposed to come out for my pro shows earlier than I even did, but I kept hitting plateaus. My metabolism never recovered well enough. I kind of I saw myself from not from an outside perspective, and I saw my goals, and I knew what I had to do to try to get to them, but I wasn't being realistic with the time frame. Looking back, I see that, but when you're in the heat of the moment, it's like exciting. Maybe you feel like you can do it. You don't realize like really where you're at.
Yeah.
So
just like the passion kind of like,
the passion takes over.
Outweighs the logic. You really do have to be logical and find a coach that is going to be honest with you and not just hype you up, but tell you the truth. Like, hey, you're not ready, or hey, you need to grow more. So it's really important. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
This next episode, we're going to be talking about how to choose a coach.
Yeah, and that's going to be a pretty interesting topic. I mean, there are just so many factors that go into that, but it's a huge
decision.
Yeah.
This one's your responsibility too.
Yeah,
so
and it plays with your health. It plays with your placings. It plays with a lot of things. So
yeah, but thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Yeah, see you guys.